And there's Cheer Bear. Welcome, everyone, to the second Open Ocean Seminar. I'm Dr. Katie Groff-Bell, Director of the Open Ocean Initiative at the MIT Media Lab. In case you missed our spring series, we now have all of the recorded seminars available online. Some of them were not recorded, so I apologize for that. They will not be available, but everything that we have is now posted. And we also now have our complete summer lineup available. I just put both links to the spring and the summer seminars in the chat if you'd like to use those for reference. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. I'd like to introduce today's speaker, John Leong, CEO of Kupu and a 2019 Obama Foundation Fellow. John co-founded Kupu in 2007 to cultivate positive environmental impacts by focusing on developing Hawaii's next generation of environmental stewards and community leaders. Kupu's youth conservation and sustainability programs provide environmental and cultural education experiences, as well as personal and professional development opportunities. Last year, he was chosen as one of 20 community-minded leaders around the world for the 2019 Obama Foundation Fellowship. Congratulations, by the way. And today, John will tell us about his journey as a serial eco-entrepreneur to start up Kupu from a garage to now impacting communities throughout the Pacific and employing hundreds of people annually in conservation service. He will share some of the lessons learned in building hand and heart-minded programs, innovative programming to provide equitable opportunities in restoration, and how Kupu is moving through COVID to continue their important work in today's world. Please join me in welcoming John Leong.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bell. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning here in Hawaii. It might be afternoon for you where you might be in the East Coast or somewhere else, but aloha, and thank you for joining us today. I'm really honored to be here to get to speak with you folks and to be around folks who are like-minded and wanting to make our world better and taking care of our oceans, but I'm sure that extends to the broader environment and our broader communities as well too. And so today, I'm going to be sharing a little bit of a session, and really it's more of a case study on what we've been doing, and hopefully that it'll inspire and encourage you in your own areas of work that you're doing. So I'm going to share my screen with you folks. I hope you can all see it okay. If you have any challenges, make sure you let me know. And we will start. So, so today as I mentioned, we have a few things. Dr. Bell already kind of went through a little bit of a brief overview of the things we're going to be talking about. And really, I think two main things I hope that you gain from today. One is that you can see what we did to create a positive change. And I want to share, it's going to be a little bit of storytelling today. So I really hope that you can catch some of the things that made a difference in our life. And hopefully it'll apply to you guys as well too. And the second part is what we view as how we're building a resilient future for our islands, and how we hope that translates to other parts of the world as well too. And then learn a little bit more about what we're doing at Kupu. So this goes back several years. Actually, it started back in Hawaii and then went to the East Coast. So for those of you on the East Coast, you guys have a part of my story as well too, being over there. I was away and I went to school in Penn and I studied at Wharton, which is a business school, which is what most environmental folks want to pursue is business, right? And so but I ended up being this oddity in the business school, and I had to make up my own concentration of entrepreneurism and environmental management. And sometimes you have a calling in your heart. And you realize that it's something that you're supposed to do, but it seems a little scary. And I think that was kind of where I was when I was finishing up my education at Wharton. And I was offered jobs in New York and in San Francisco, in finance and banking and at a startup. And I felt a calling to come back home to Hawaii, particularly to work in the environmental sector. And sometimes, I found, and we were just talking about a friend, Nainoa Thompson, and Nainoa says sometimes, he did this, for those of you who don't know Nainoa, he did this worldwide sail where they took an ancient Hawaiian, outrigger canoe without modern technology in it, And they use the stars, wind, and ocean to navigate themselves around the world over a 3-year period. And a quote that he shared was, sometimes it's more dangerous to stay tethered to the shore than it is to get out into the open ocean. And so, if Nainoa had not made that voyage, then a lot of proof of concept, a lot of hope that he brought with it, and a lot of encouragement and inspiration would not have been shared, and the danger would have been lost. And I feel in some ways too, some of us have great ideas or great inspirations that we're being given to take off and do. And I felt that was part of my story, was to come back to Hawaii, even though it seemed like the long shot. I was working out of my parents' house. I had $3,000 to start up our first organization, which is Pono Pacific. And over the years, we've created multiple entities, including our nonprofit, which is Kupu. But it started really tiny. And Kupu started as a program that was 16 members on the island of Kauai in 2001. We had a budget of $20,000 for a summer program. But you steward things well, and you have the courage to kind of get out there and try things. And you have good people that come behind you and beside you. And little by little, you make things grow. And that's what happened with us. And in a few years, we went from 16 kids to over 100 young people. But more importantly, what we were seeing is young people then now wanting to get into this field, either going to university to study, getting internships, and some of them getting jobs in related fields. And it wasn't that Hawaii young people weren't interested in conservation, because back then, really, conservation was more folks coming from out of state where these pathways were further developed, coming from California, Colorado, Washington, where they had forestry, wildlife, other type of backgrounds and pathways. So Hawaii young people weren't really getting into local internships in these areas. But what we saw is there was a transformation happening, and more young people wanting to do it. Young people who've been hiking, diving, hunting, fishing all their lives, now realizing they could get a career working outdoors. So today we have several different organizations. Some are social enterprises, some of them are nonprofits with different teams, but all of them have a common focus, which we'll talk about later on. But just different expressions of how we achieve that focus of resiliency. Today we're going to talk a little bit more on Kupu, which is our nonprofit. We founded Kupu because we saw that important shift happening. And I want to give you a little bit of a background of what the organization is about with this video. Which just worked about 5 minutes ago when we were doing the test run. So as things have it, it doesn't always work, but let's try.
Established in 2007, Kupu was founded with a mission to preserve the land while empowering youth. The organization provides hands-on training in conservation, sustainability, and environmental education for young adults, with the goal of fostering our next generation of environmental and cultural stewards.
Beyond all the critical and important work that's getting done is what's happening in the lives of this next generation. It transcends just conservation, just sustainability. We're creating hope that's being unlocked, and they're finding their purpose, they're finding their passion in life.
It's really important to know where you come from and to know how to take care of it and to spread that knowledge to others.
Like, we're all in for, conservation, restoration, hard work.
Since 2007, Kupu has contributed more than $130 million in economic benefit through community service, education awards, and job training opportunities. Through its programs, Kupu has provided over 4,000 young adults meaningful ways to serve their communities. Members participate in both individual-based and team-based programs, ranging from short-term to year-long positions, with opportunities to serve alongside and receive valuable mentorship from experts in many related fields. These young adults have worked with Kupu partners to provide over 3 million hours of service, which has culminated in planting over 1 million native plants and removing 100,000 acres of invasive species, equivalent to 75,000 football fields. For their service, Kupu has presented nearly $5.5 million in education awards to support the continued growth of its members. The service participants contribute to our community doesn't end when they leave Kupu. many have continued to serve, grow, and lead environmental and social efforts across the state and Pacific.
It was really the gateway for me to get into conservation. It provided the inspiration for me to make this a career.
In early 2019, Kupu celebrated the grand opening of a brand new facility, the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Ho'okupu Center, a state-of-the-art facility devoted to supporting Kupu's programs, offering youth real-world job skills training in the conservation and culinary fields.
It's a space that's going to uplift our state. It's a place that's going to connect people to place, connect our community together, and provide equity and opportunity to some of the most amazing young adults that our state has to offer.
The outcomes are phenomenal. If you meet some of these young people and see where they've come and where they're going.
They come out with hope and a new vision for what their lives can be and skills to go achieve it. And that's what is so special. That's why I'm so passionate about supporting these guys.
It's really about brotherhood and sisterhood, and they bring you in and they treat you as family. And you become not only part of culture, but you become part of the ohana.
This program has got me out of a gang. It kept me from getting into more trouble.
When you're working with the land, it just truly, honestly, just changes the way you think. It actually teaches you that, hey, I can do something.
It's changed everybody that's gone through it. You definitely don't go throughout the program without having some type of really positive change.
The more and more we have the next generation engaged, that they care about the world around us, and they have that heart of compassion for both the people and the broader community and our world. That's really going to change and create new leadership for our world. It's creating impact, it's tangible, while driving that sense of aloha through all that we're doing.
If you would like to donate, volunteer, or be a part of our programs, please visit our website at www.kupuhawaii.org. Mahalo.
All right, and so hopefully that gives you a bit better sense of what Kupu does. We use a youth core model. Oops, that we're not going to watch again, but really it's to get young people engaged. And as the video kind of shares, you see the transformation that's happening in young people's lives, and you realize what we realized early on is that we were up there, we were the guys in the field planting trees, removing invasive species, removing invasive algae. And it was rewarding and wonderful work, but what was missing was the baton that needed to get passed. And I think that that's what Kupu really provides, as a vehicle in which we can empower young people to show them their potential, to open up career pathways, and even just to help them explore ideas. They may not get into conservation as a career, but to understand that when they go into maybe law, or when they go into becoming doctors or teachers, they have a mindset that can help to pivot society. And it also gives them transferable skills that they can take with them to help them advance in their own lives in whatever career they choose, to move the needle and to become leaders in our societies that have the right heart. And it's hard to, when you're out there doing the good work, not to be affected, not to see that it's more about taking care of others that, and resources that can't necessarily always fight for themselves, and to be a champion for those that need you the most. It's hard not to take that with you into a career that you go. So really with Kupu and all our organizations, as I mentioned, our focus is to create a resilient future. And we say empty refrigerator because when my wife and I first got married, we were in this small little apartment building. And it was, kind of old, and we had a cardboard box for our coffee table for the first several months, and foam futons for our couch. And so it was really simple. But we had an old refrigerator, but my wife was reading a book, and it was talking about how it's so important in life to live with a life with significance and to die empty. So she wrote that quote on the refrigerator, on a piece of paper, and taped it to the refrigerator. And we had guests, and I remember one of the guests came over and said, "Oh man, do you need help getting a new refrigerator? Because I see your note to remind yourself to empty the refrigerator." And we're like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about us reminding ourselves that we need to pour it all out in life, that we need to give it our very best. And it's not just about the success, getting the different degrees or the letters behind your name or the career success. Those are all great things. But if we're not doing it in conjunction towards the pathway to live a life of significance, then we're missing the mark. So we all know that our world is at a critical turning point. This whole COVID-19 issue, our economy, the tensions that we're seeing in our communities and around the world, you know, they provide an opportunity for us to really re-examine what's important as we talk about significance. And really for those of us that are seeking to create change, this is an opportunity to be bridge builders, to create pivots, to create turning points in our society, and to rethink how we're going to do things. When we go back to tourism in Hawaii as an example, is it going to be 10 million people a year still and this huge drain on our resources, or can we do things differently to be more sensitive, to get people more engaged at a deeper level and a more authentic level? And in your communities, you may have different things that you guys are rethinking as well too. So there's unprecedented challenges that our world is facing, and my goal is not to necessarily convince you that there's challenges in our world. That's the newspaper's job. But my goal is to help us to realize that you guys are change makers, and that this is an opportunity for us to be an important part of the solution. That it's all of us working together, even if we're in different parts of the world. Zoom connects us, but what connects us even closer is that united force of leading towards something bigger than ourselves and moving our earth and moving our people and our communities in a right direction. In Hawaii, they say pono, which means right, righteous, good, noble, correct, and moving it in a pono direction. So during the last, we think of humanity's big challenges, and there was World War II, and Winston Churchill, who came out of that, said, a pessimist sees problems and opportunities, or an optimist sees opportunities and problems. So, and today we can see it as a glass half empty or glass half full. And Gandhi says, be the change in the world that we want to see in the world. And so sometimes we think that we don't have enough education, enough financial resources, or enough stuff to make a difference. But I'm here to say that we're perfectly positioned where we need to be. When we started Kupu, we didn't have very much, as I shared with you guys, but we just did what was in front of us. We did the work that had to happen. And some of it wasn't glamorous. It was weed eating, it was planting plants, it was trudging through wetlands with a chainsaw above our heads. And some of it was difficult, working with young people who had gone through difficult challenges in their life, emotional, family issues. And just to kind of get them through the program and through the summer. Sometimes it took a lot, but don't underestimate the importance of those little things. Don't underestimate the importance of where you're at, and that where you're at is an important place in our world that you were predispositioned and prescribed to be and assigned to be at for a reason and a purpose. Because together we can create a collective meaningful impact. And I know that part of the focus is on the open oceans, and of course everything that happens on the land impacts the oceans as well too. But really, whether it's oceans, lands, working with young people, or another area, we realize that together this is something that we can make a collective impact. You saw the numbers in the video, and that's not just one person doing invasive species removal or native planting, but it's all of these hands working together. And this is just Hawaii. Imagine what we can do as a broader country, as a broader world, if we're focused together. So how we start in our own organization is we look at the heart. And so it was important for us to look at creating core values, because it was just a few of us. It was my wife and a friend who started it, and we were always really close to each other. We always wanted to create not only great impact, but a different kind of company that wasn't just about churning and burning people out, or about getting to a place, but it didn't matter how it looked like on the inside. We wanted it to first be a place where we have people who authentically feel cared for, and that we empower people to their potential. We keep them accountable towards excellence, and we lead them towards a bigger purpose, and we're moving towards a bigger purpose together of significance as a team. And so that's where we came up with these core values. The only one you may not know is Ohana. And if you watch Lilo and Stitch, you know what that means, but it means family. And so that's our core values. And we stress that because we think that's important. And a friend mentioned it really well. And there's different types of lei in Hawaii. And my children picked puakenekene the other day. And this is a puakenekene flower. But you weave them together in a string, and they kind of go like this. And there's also lei haku, which is woven on the inside and flowers on the outside. But a friend said, you know, you guys are like the puakene kene lei, where it's fragrant and it looks the same on the inside and on the outside, whereas other leis are different on the inside and different on the outside. And that's how we always want to be, is authentic. We're not perfect, I want to tell you that. We make our mistakes and we've had frustrations and challenges, but we are trying to move to a place where we're getting people, and with that heart where we get people in the right place. So for us, what we do, so that's how we do it, is with our core values. And what we do is try to build a resilient future. And how we define that is in 4 words. One is humanity, in that we're trying to take care of people, and we're trying to move young people upwards, build out communities, do things that are going to engage and inspire people towards what is right and correct. We create opportunities. We're going to talk a little bit later about some of the educational opportunities we're looking at. But it's so great to see young people that have now career pathways open. We took one of our senators to see a site at DLNR, Department of Land and Natural Resources, and there were 40 people at this specific site, but half of them were Kupu alumni or current members. So you can see like 50% of them are coming through the programs, and it's creating these opportunities for them to get into these careers. And these organizations have this great opportunity to get help, plus you know, hire really great young people who are committed to Hawaii, committed to their communities, and to making a difference for our earth. And it's creating economic opportunities too, and educational opportunities. So we're really about providing opportunities. So humanity, opportunity, planet. So obviously we're doing the best that we can to serve our earth and take care of our other inhabitants, and make it a really awesome place for the future. Not only in Hawaii, but obviously whatever we do here in Hawaii will have impacts to our overall globe, planting trees, reducing carbon. And I think what to us is also important is that similar to Nainoa, who did the worldwide sale, is to create a place that, as we're creating programs and systems through our organizations, and that they hopefully can be transferable, that they can inspire other places as well to learn from our lessons that where we didn't do things right, as well as where we did things right, and hopefully create other structures which can be adapted and utilized for other islands and other communities, or for our global island. And last thing is economy. And it's really, you know, when I was at Wharton, one of the things that I saw was you know, definitely there was a huge, and it's not just Wharton, I'm sure it happens in a lot of different areas and universities, but it's really about success and whatever it takes to get there. And we had one building that was called Steinberg Dietrich, where one person built their building around the other person because they wanted the naming rights to that building. And so that kind of gives you an idea of like how, you know, but I think that it reminded me when I came back home that Hawaii had always had this type of mentality where it's about reciprocity and lifting up the tide so everyone is lifted. And it made me very homesick when I saw that type of mentality in the East Coast. And it also made me really feel committed that I wanted to come back and build that spirit of aloha out in what we're doing, and especially in our economy. And you know, sometimes we think that there's a fracture between, you know, culture and what is, you know, values and economy, but really economy is just a vehicle. And if we can shape that vehicle and have values-driven economies, more circular economies where there's less waste, or more resilient and less extractive economies and sustainable economies, those are the things that we're trying to build out as we look at things. So, you know, you'll hear a little bit of our social enterprises at Kupu. Our other companies are working on building local farms, renewable energy, help to restoring watersheds. And so really these are the type of economies that we're trying to help to encourage and build out as well too. So altogether, they spell out hope. So that's how we define hope. That's how we define resiliency for the future of our world. And that's the work that we're doing. And we find our hope in our people. If you want to know the secret to our success, it's having really amazing people on part of your team. And I can't stress that enough. I went through the mistakes in my past of having to just look at people's credentials and resumes and things like that. But when you look at it, that's important, but not as important as the character and the capacities of people. And on this call, I have a few of our teammates, Kepa, Stephen, I saw early on, and there might be a few others too. But these guys are the keys to our success. So as you have the opportunity, find good people, bring them along part of the journey, add them to your canoe, and know that that's going to make a successful future is having the right team by your side, and that you can be by their side too. So you add it all together when you put our culture of who we are and what we're doing. We always tell our people we're chosen for hope. And that's to bring hope into our world and to make a difference. And that's our resilient future. So I'm going to shift a little bit and talk about how do we see that in our own organization. And so the first point I want to make out is united we are more. And I think you may have been seeing some of these undertones already about talking about the importance of people and bringing together. But it's so important that, you know, one of the things that Kupu has tried to be is a catalyst and an enzyme, and really try to help the reactions happen quicker. And so, you know, there's a lot of organizations that have their own land, and for a long time we didn't have our land. We had programming, we had young people that would be able to come out and make a difference. And we've kind of kept that mentality that we're really here to really enable other organizations. Because believe it or not, even in the nonprofit world, even in, you know, areas that you think are altruistic, there's competitiveness. There's, you know, folks that just want to get the funding or get the resources. And really we want it to be a place where we're helping to add capacity, not feeling like we're competing with other organizations. And really, hopefully our work will add value. And today we work with about 150 different partner sites that our members work at. And so we were able to really help spread this mentality. We've realized that we're more powerful as a nexus than as a wall. And again, you know, that comes sometimes when you're working nonprofit to nonprofit, but sometimes too, you know, we've realized that it's so important to be a bridge between different industries. And it's easy to quick judgments on organizations or businesses because of what they do or their background. But there's also a lot of times that there's businesses that want to do good, they have good leadership, they want to make these pivots, and they need a bridge and they need a pathway to be able to do those things. And it may not be part of their core business. And what I mean, for example, is, you know, on some hands we've been able to be successful. We have great environmental activist groups that are within our network, but we also have banks, and banks may not have their desire to be, you know, their first mission isn't to restore our environment, but they may want to do that as part of their community give back. And so, you know, we've had banks that have given people, that have given donations to Kupu's work just to ask their people to go with paperless statements, you know. And so there's ways that we're finding these partnerships. We've had electrical companies as part of our network as well too. And some might say, well, they're the ones that are producing carbon in the atmosphere. But, you know, as you get to break down the barriers and get to know people a little bit more, you realize, look, there's some really good leadership. There's maybe a very large system that's hard to pivot, but they also have a great desire to take care of our island home. And, you know, Hawaii has some of the highest per capita rooftop solar in the nation. We're ahead of, by far above the next area, which is San Diego. And you realize that it's people that are in leadership roles in utilities and electrical companies within our state that are really trying to move those pivots and make those changes. And we need to be able to help move them as well too. And so we've had sustainability internships and folks, young people getting a chance to get exposed to these different careers, working with our utilities too, and in partnership with different programs as well. And you know, it was great. I got a chance to hear from these different coalition builders, and oftentimes they said, you know, sometimes we think we have to break down the old system to create change, but really people still need the things that they need, you know, the day-to-day things of life. And if you break things down, sometimes that becomes hard. But also too, things can change a lot quicker if you can find ways to pivot existing infrastructure, existing systems. And really that's where we've tried to be a nexus to help make those pivots. As I mentioned with people, you know, a great team, great people by your side. You know, there's other co-founders, like I said, my wife and Matt, and a great team of folks that have come with us. but bringing people together for a common cause is also really important. And knowing that your team is your strength is another really important factor. It's also important to know that there's other people out there that we need to be creative on and think, how can we create bridges into areas that aren't necessarily against us, but also we may have not have thought of before. So we're working with Arizona State University as an example, and all of us know how expensive a college education can be. And one of the barriers to entry, of course, is cost. The other is geography, coming especially from an island like Hawaii to go to a major university. Even from our neighbor islands, there's only 2 universities within our state. So if you're not in on one of those islands, you may not have an opportunity to go to university versus community college. And so we looked at that and we said, well, how can we create more equity, more opportunity for our people that go through our programs and give them pathways into college. Now, Kupu works 16 to 24 years of age is our target audience. And then also they come from different demographics. We do have some programs where young people have dropped out of school and then they can get their high school diploma with us. But now to get to that next level is kind of another critical factor. So we partnered with ASU. We heard about them and we did some exploration. We went out to visit them. And we were able to create this really great program together. So starting this fall, there's going to be a really amazing program that started that we have. Our young people can go through our year-round program, and they get to work in conservation for a year. They get paid. They have benefits like childcare and healthcare benefits. But they can also take ASU online, and they'll get on their transcript the same classes that they would have taken if they went to Tempe, except the cost if you go to Tempe is like $46,000 with including room and board. Here they only pay if they want to get the credits, so they can audit the course if they don't like their grade. They don't have to pay for it. But if they do want to have it on their transcript, it's only $400 per class. So for a full year, it's under $3,000. They don't have to leave their island. They only have to have internet. And instead of going into debt, like most college students do, they get to serve and give back, gain transferable skills, and they're getting paid as well too. So it really flips the script for our students and our participants, and it gives them a really awesome opportunity to move ahead in life. And I don't have the statistics with me now, but after finishing 1 year of college, the percentage of finishing college increased dramatically, and it's really great. ASU's been a great partner. They don't feel like this is an exclusive thing. They're more than happy that the credits go to other colleges, and if other colleges want to do something similar to this, they're open to it too. But it's really an amazing opportunity for our young people. And the other part is finding good people to be around. As a leader, you're going to find that it is not easy. You know, whatever your role in the organization, it's not easy. But especially those of you that end up leading an organization, you feel the weight of that sometimes come on you. And sometimes it's too much to sometimes feel like you can bear. And so it's not only important to be, Nexus, to have good teammates by your side and to find innovative partnerships, but you also need to find people that can be your cohort, your people that can breathe life into you, that can share the ups and the downs in life. And these are some of my buddies, my best friends that I've made in the last few years. They're from around the world. It's the Obama Foundation Fellowship. There's 20 of us from around the world with 10 different countries represented. And it's just a breath of fresh air every time I get together with them. There's a lot of good trainings and education that we get, but I think one of the best things that we get is just to see these authentic people who desire to change our world and make it a better place, to go through the struggles of what that means to do that. Because just because you want to do good doesn't mean that the world starts to open up and say, hey, go and do it. Let me throw funding at you and let me throw resources and everything. No, it's not like that. I mean, it does get easier as you do the good work and as you get noted for your work, but it isn't always easy. And you're a salmon fighting to go upstream, and oftentimes it feels like in the world to move the needle. And you need to have good people by your side to do that work. So my other encouragement is to find good people that can encourage you, and people that love your best and love you, and are willing to give you the critical comments though that are that you need to hear, but at the same time are sharing that with a heart of love and compassion, because they know that what your potential is and what you're capable of. The next, the next one is, after being united, is break the mold. So sometimes people are going to tell you, you can't do this in this world, or this is how this is shaped, and this is how it's been forever. And I would just encourage you not to accept that. Take that more as I've always taken that more as a challenge than it is as a command. And I see that in some of my children too. And but on this side of it, it's a little bit frustrating because sometimes I tell them, you know, don't do that. And you know, you may not want to make your science experiment with a soap over the carpet. And yeah, it happens. But you know, that's part of I guess it's part of it, and realizing that they're making their own little entrepreneurial efforts as well too to break the mold. But I'm going to give you a few case studies. One was this building. This building is in a park in Hawaii, and over right in Kaka'ako. Kewalo Basin is the name of the area. It was derelict for 20 years. It became known as the Crack Shack, where there was a lot of drugs being done here, crime. There were tents tied up all along the side of the fences that you see behind it. Those are my daughters there. And this is right before we got construction, or we were able to do construction on it. But it took us like 7 years. We had a vision for the space to be a connecting nexus that you saw in the video. But it took us 7 years to go from the concept to get officials on board, to get the funding, and to do all this. But we didn't give up. And everyone thought we were going to fail. I would say everyone, a lot of people thought we were going to fail, and we pushed through. And so sometimes you got to just gut out the stuff on the inside and get some good friends and help you take out the stuff that isn't supposed to be there. And you start to transform it. You bring good people beside you. Like I said, here's all the families in our company and putting their handprints in the cement as we start to build it out. And you create a new space. You create something new for the community. And you know, I talk about conservation. This space, we couldn't, you know, as I said, putting a plant in the ground is great. And I you know, doing hundreds of them over my career in the field, you know, it does make a difference, but you realize it's a drop in the bucket. But here you can have hundreds of people that may not be able to make it into the back mountains, come out, learn about conservation, learn about sustainability, learn about our ocean environments. And it creates this really great opportunity to engage people where they're at, not necessarily where I'm at, because they may have different skills and talent sets than me, and may not be able to hike out in those areas, or may not want to, but they may have their own contributions to making our earth better. So we're creating these connecting places that can bring people along, and meeting people where they're at to do the good work. But it's also great because we're able to inspire young people, like I mentioned, who may have had a harder life, may have dropped out of school, and so they can get their education here, get their diplomas here during the day. And we've created a really cool event space as well, that our culinary program that focuses on farm-to-table food is able to now create a social enterprise where we run events here, and they do caterings out of the kitchen here. And so we've had like the state of the city address over here. We've had huge you know, corporate events, community events, all kinds of things. And it's really great because each time we do it, we're changing a young person's life, giving them an opportunity, supporting our local agriculture and producers. And it's sharing a message with the broader community, even if passively. And so this is our culinary program. And that's our head chef, Eddie, with one of our young men, Peter. So they learned some really amazing skills. And the culinary area, why culinary, is because it was pre-COVID, it was such a huge hiring area. There was such a great demand and lack of supply of young people to get into the culinary field. So we can really start to transform social conditions by providing job opportunities. And these are some of the events that they do. I mean, these are young people that are running this program, 19 to 24 years of age, and they're doing these cool events like this. So some of you may wonder, well, okay, what happened when COVID hit? Because that kind of sucked for you, I guess. And yeah, there's challenges, and your life is full of challenges. But you know, when you're committed to the cause, committed to making the world different, you realize those are just speed bumps sometimes, and sometimes they're the opportunities we were talking about earlier to create a difference. And so we saw that too, and we had extra food from some of our events, and we decided, well, you know what? Why don't we at least start feeding people who've lost their jobs? And we came beside the Department of Education that was feeding young people who aren't free and reduced lunches, but they had no food for the families. So we started to do that, and we started to create a meals program. And then again, you start doing the good work and people then see it and they want to come with you. And so today we've done probably, I think, around 60,000 meals in the last few months. And it's all these young people. And the really cool thing is it's these young people who were the ones that were the beneficiaries of support before. Now they're the ones that are supporting our community in this time of need. So that leads me to the next point, which is face challenges head on. Someone's counting on you to not give up. We know that there's big challenges that we're facing right now as a community, and we can run, we can hide, we can have moments of despair. And sometimes, frankly, we need those moments. We need to go in our closet and just cry sometimes too, because it is feel overwhelming. And I wouldn't be human or real if I didn't say those things don't come across your mind. But you also have to find a point where you have to kind of find that in your stomach, in your gut, to stand back up and realize that this is not about you. And if it was before, now's a chance to make it not about you anymore. That this world, this community needs people that are willing to stand up and rise to the occasion to make things happen in a good way, and bring people together to move things together in a Pono way, to be the bridge builders, be the people that bring about opportunities and bring about hope in our world too. So as I shared, we had our culinary program made that pivot, and I'm gonna share a little video. I'm not gonna share the whole thing, but this is a little bit about this came out in the last Sunday's paper, sharing about the story of what's happening down at our center and through our culinary program.
I get the amazing opportunity to teach our youth about food and how to source food, how to cook for themselves, safety, sanitation, and how to be a great member to our society.
Oh.
This program has done a lot for me. It started back in 2013. 2013 was the highlight of my life. I was at the lowest, and everybody lost hope in me. I dropped out of school, started getting involved in the community, as Uncle Ray would say. He was a menace to society. Now he's a young man in society. I try to be my best now. Ever since I came to Kupu, it helped me get back on my feet. It helped me think positive and be more productive in the community. You know, back in days, I used to just go out, roam around with my friends, terrorize the community. But now I try to be a good young man and give back to the community.
Yeah. So that's one of our young men data, and so proud of him. I mean, he now has, his own place. He has a young child, and his girlfriend as well too. And it's just so neat to see how he's providing for them. And before they would just microwave whatever's in the refrigerator. Now he prepares meals for his family, able to teach them where their food is coming from. And he wasn't at a place to even think about those kind of things before, but now to be at this place where he's an inspiration, where he's caring for the world around us, that's resilience right there. So another Winston Churchill quote, and because it feels like this is a battle, and not a battle where I'm talking about guns and anger and fighting, but a battle where we need to really fight for what is right in our community, where we win this battle with love, where we win this battle with actions that are going to bring people together. And so I feel like we're also in one of the greatest battles in our world's history. That this is a time where we see the huge environmental challenges, cultural, social challenges we're facing now, economic challenges, and it is going to call on us to dig deep, call on us to be the change in our world that needs to happen, and people that maybe this is the opportunity where that idea that was bubbling to the surface is ready to come out. It's ready for you. Maybe you got laid off. Maybe the opportunity to go to college next year isn't going to happen, but maybe that's also an opportunity in disguise for you to bring about that next big and amazing thing that needs to happen, that's been nagging on your heart and tugging on you to make a difference. And really, we can impact the world. And you know, little by little, it's going to be all of us working together, moving in the same direction. Sometimes we think that's such a big thing to think of. And again, sometimes just eating that elephant is just taking one step at a time in the right direction, just doing what we're assigned. We don't have to first start creating these huge organizations. It didn't happen for us overnight. It happened day by day, challenge by challenge, just trying to do the right thing, responding well, little by little, but little by little it builds up. And again, you find other organizations like we did in the Obama Foundation, and you link arms and you realize, you know, we bring all our critical capacity that we have, they're bringing their critical capacity, and the other person's bringing their critical capacity, and we start moving in these directions. And my goodness, sooner than later, we're going to start changing the world even more and more in a rapid pace. Because I don't want it to say, oh, you know, some of the next generation, don't, you know, undo the things that my generation screwed up. I don't want that to be what I say to them. I want to say, continue on the good things that we started, continue on the good things that we want, our dreams that we had visions for our future, for your generation and the generations to come. So thank you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and happy to take any questions that you might have. Aloha.